What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer, Logan Landers. And join me this afternoon to talk about the NFL draft prospect, Jihaad Campbell, linebacker coming out of Alabama. It's going to be Brian LaBelle. Brian, what's going on, man? And Roll Tide, Alabama, we know they got 100 draft prospects every year, it feels like. And, man, this is one of their stars here. This is a hell of a ball player, and I'm excited to talk about Jihaad Campbell. What's your thoughts on him after watching him through the season, but now just kind of going back here as a draft analyst and really kind of nitpicking and looking at his game?
Feels like every year you have that one guy from Alabama, on the defensive front that's like, hey, this is a game changer, right? This guy come in here, he's gonna game wrecker. He can absolutely anchor a defense, and I think it's just Jihaad's turn. And I know this was his kind of coming out party, right? Like, yeah, he had the full-time starter position this season. He was the focal point of the defense on a lot of different schemes. Everything they did up front, he was the guy like, hey, we're going to run everything through him. Jihaad is going to make the reads. He's going to make the plays, which he did a lot of that. You don't really hold him. You don't hold too much against him for his first couple seasons. Maybe the production was low, but that's Alabama, right? That's how it works. Like, you're going to sit on the bench. You're going to share time. You got to earn your stripes. He absolutely did that. But this dude's a missile up front. He's very, very good at getting after the running back, getting after the quarterback. Very sneakily, he's a very good pass rusher too. And that's something a lot of people aren't talking about. He had 5 sacks. He was very good at that. I like him more as a traditional linebacker. I think in a 3-4 scheme, he could play, honest to God, any 4 positions at the linebacker spot. He could play outside. I think he could do well. I think in the middle is where he's best served. But there were a couple plays. I know South Florida, that tape I watched, that probably wasn't the best tape to watch if you're an Alabama fan. Maybe you want to burn that a little bit, because I was like, man, what the heck are we doing? Offensively, it was terrible. Defensively, it was a masterclass. The fact the offense didn't show up, but Jihaad was all over the field, making plays in the backfield. I mean, there are certain times where he's meeting guys 3, 4, 5 yards in the backfield. A lot of that's film study, but also being able to have the instincts and the speed and the agility to get past everybody. I'm going to move past the guard. I'm going to sneak around here, and I'm going to go make a play for a tackle for loss. And he's just phenomenal at that.
Yeah, he was great about that. And he is kind of in that, you said, kind of a typical linebacker. It's kind of what we're seeing more with the kind of more lean guys who are a lot more quick, as opposed to just kind of, bruisers up the middle. And he can hit. Don't get me wrong. He can hit. But he's got that good speed to him, right? He's around 230, 235. So a lot of these guys are just getting skinnier and skinnier at these positions, and they're more athletic than ever. I mean, he definitely fits that role. And a lot of people are going to obviously look at, like Micah Parsons, a guy who kind of has the same stature a little bit out in Dallas, and coincidentally wear the same number at 11. But I think that with Jihaad, man, I think that also, too, it's going to hurt his draft stock a little bit, because we know he had that labrum injury right after the combine. So that is, I think it's going to a little, like, slightly drop his draft stock, but I still think he's a first-round talent. But maybe, instead of an early or a middle type grade, he might go a little bit later in the draft, because I think that, injuries are always going to scare teams, regardless of what it is. It was a torn labrum in his left shoulder, but he's going to be fine for the season. He's not going to miss any playing time, but just unfortunate for him. But I think that, with him as a player, he's got, like I said, solid pass rush. He can do some good work in the run game as well. Great discipline as well, man. He knows how to tackle. You're not going to have a whole lot of guys break any tackles from this guy. He's going to wrap you up or knock you out or clothesline you in a way or whatever. He's going to get you to the ground. And that's what I like for linebackers. You know what I mean? You're not the last line defense, but no one's supposed to get past you. You're supposed to be, that kind of wrecking ball there in the middle. And I think that, he's definitely fitting of that role. He's, like I said, super athletic. He can get past a lot of the O linemen with his athleticism, with just kind of squeezing in between the gaps, or speed, or he's got good power as well. So, I mean, he's got all the 5 tools you need for any kind of player on defense. He's already got it. That great first step as well is going to, I know the competition's about to get a lot tougher in the league, but it's hard to teach that athleticism and that just good initial burst that he had. Ran like a 4.5 40, which is crazy for a linebacker. You're getting towards wide receiver speed there. Like I say, he's around that 230 range. So, I mean, he's just a great player. Like I said, over 100 tackles as well this past year. So, I mean, he's a young guy. He's 21, right? So he's got a lot of playing time left. He had kind of one of those early birthdays. He just turned 21 about a month ago in February. So he's got a lot of ball left to play. It's not like the other guys we've seen who are 23, 24. So you're getting someone who's even younger and who still honestly can still learn a lot at such a young age. And that's we mentioned it before. If you get him, we've mentioned it with other positions as well. But I feel like if you have a solid linebacking core, if you have an aging vet on your team who might not be a starter but could be a fringe guy, come in there and get a couple snaps in to really just kind of help him out and say, all right, man, let's work on this today. Let's work on your pass rush techniques. Let's work on getting and stuff in the run. I think that could really be beneficial for him. Maybe not early on, but once he gets more comfortable in the NFL and gets more adept to how the league and how the games are played and the speed of it and whatnot, that could really help him out in the future, I think. But Jihaad Campbell's been very impressive at Alabama. What else do you think about him?
Well, his speed to the point of attack is very, very good.
Yeah.
He understands very early on in the play where they're trying to go, what they're trying to do, and his job is I'm going to break that up. I'm going to disrupt it. And he was very good at doing that at Alabama, and he made the job a lot easier for everybody else. I mean, obviously, when you got 4 All-American type guys up front ahead of you, it's a lot easier, But he stands out in a lot of the tape, and to do that wearing, those colors is very, very impressive. And I think that's a lot of what people are looking at him. And you look at his game, he's 6'3" as well. He's a very big dude, because a lot of times out these sort of skill players, I know the linebacker is more of a larger skill guy, but you see more 6'1", 6 foot kind of guys, but he's a big dude for his position, and that allows him to be able to be a threat in the pass rush as well. He can hold his own up front against a lot of these guys, and to have a tweener, a guy that can do a little bit of both. I'm not going to compare him to more like a TJ Watt, because TJ is more of a put your hand in the dirt or stand up, go rush the passer, but he can do it a little bit. He was showing that he could do it a little bit. And very rarely you have a guy that could, hey, I can give you 120 tackles, but I can also give you 7 or 8 sacks. That doesn't happen a lot. And that's huge for any team that's looking to bring a guy in. He's getting overshadowed just because I think this defensive class is phenomenal. He's kind of thrown in there in the mix, though. I think he's definitely a first-round guy. Where he goes, I'm not sure. Just because I know, like, Mike Green's getting a lot of buzz. I know you got the kid in front of him, Mr. Walker from Georgia, who's kind of the toast of the town as far as the linebacker talk is right now. But I mean, someone's going to end up with this guy probably in the teens, maybe even like the early 20s, and they're going to be ecstatic to have this guy on their roster.
The thing, too, in that, credit to Alabama for, just utilizing him to the best of their ability. Not only can he be a linebacker, he's done some work as an edge rusher, too. He can move up in the box, like you said, which is just got even more scary. I would hate to see that, but I think that he's phenomenal. Like I said, you can't compare him to a Watt brother yet. I think he's got to earn those stripes. But I did see on one website, just doing research about him, they compared him to Tremaine Edmonds, who we know was with the Bills for a while, now has moved over to Chicago, and I think they just gave him that just because he's a tackling machine. Both of them are, and I think that Jihaad, he isn't going to miss these guys. He's like a heat-seeking missile. He's going to find you, track you down, and bring you onto the ground. That's how explosive he is. And I think that the possibilities with this guy, the schemes you can use with him, the just looks you can get as a defensive coordinator, as a linebackers coach, it'll make you drool just thinking about how impressive this guy can be. And he's barely even scratched the surface in a way. I mean, he's played for one of the most historic franchises in college football history in Alabama. And he did some really good work there. I know Bama as a team had a down year, we'll say, but overall he was impressive at that linebacking spot. Either they're going to miss him out there in Tuscaloosa, but whoever picks him up in the NFL, they're going to get a tremendous ball player who's going to make I think a really good impact at the next level. But Brian, what are your final thoughts here before we get out of here on this afternoon?
I would say this: if you're the Falcons and you get kind of a trade down scenario and he's still there, depending on what you're trying to do, right? If you're trying to add capital, even if he's there at 15, I don't think this is a wrong pick. You get, hey, we need a pass rusher. We also need linebacker help. We can do a little bit of both, Depends on how healthy Troy Anderson is. Ellis was spectacular last year, and he's a guy who does a little bit of that too. Ellis is phenomenal at saying, hey, I can rush the passer. I can also drop back. I think Campbell's probably a little bit better as playing just pure linebacker, but I mean, to be credit, there's probably 31 other teams that would just, oh no, we got this guy. How terrible that is that he's on our roster. But You know, anybody that picks him up is going to be happy because a lot of times these guys from Alabama, especially on the defensive side, when they get to, it just clicks. It's just, they're already there from like a preparation standpoint, from a mental standpoint. They understand what it takes, and they're saying almost like, oh, this is easier. Hey, I was already doing this kind of stuff. There's not a shock factor. There's not a reset for them. It's okay. It's business as usual. It's just I'm playing on Sundays as opposed to Saturdays.
Yeah, and like I said, it's basically like the NFL already when you play in the SEC of any of those schools, and especially as we know the rich history of the Alabama Crimson Tide. But wherever Jihaad Campbell goes, man, I think he'll make a good impact, and he's going to be one of those guys where you'll see him at the end of the year. He's going to be close to the top of the league in tackles probably, and get a handful of sacks here and there. He'll get a big money contract, I'm sure. Just because, I mean, it seems like they just churn out receivers and defensive players at Bama. Those are the main two skill sets. Running backs as well. I mean, they don't have a lot of weak links there, that's for sure. And I think that Jihaad will be kind of just one of those other guys that comes up and balls out in the league. So I'm excited to see where he goes in the NFL draft, and it's going to be a good time. But hey, Brian, appreciate you, man, coming on the show, talking about Jihaad Campbell with your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, if you enjoy any of these episodes today, please like, follow, share, and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you all again on